against malaria. Those efforts have greatly increased in recent years. There are now more than 50 experimental vaccines in existence. The world's largest malaria vaccine study began last year in 7 African countries. It is the result of more than 20 years of research and 10 years of clinical testing. The study is to involve up to 16,000 children. They live in Burkina Faso, Gabon, Ghana, Kenya, Malawi, Mozambique, and Tanzania. GlaxoSmithKline Biologicals developed the vaccine, known as RTS-S. It is the first malaria vaccine candidate to have large success during early testing. It is also the first vaccine designed mainly for use in Africa.
A recent study showed that RTS-S reduced clinical cases of malaria by 53% over an 8-month follow-up period. In another study, the vaccine was effective in reducing clinical malaria by 35%. It also reduced cases of severe malaria by 49%. 2 weeks ago, a Dutch drug maker, Crucell, announced it will work with GlaxoSmithKline to jointly develop a new malaria vaccine candidate. The vaccine candidate is to be made from 2 drugs the companies are developing separately. Crucell says studies have shown the drugs may work better when combined than they do independently.
Last year, another drug company, se-sin-malaria, won a Vaccine Industry Excellence Award for Best Early Stage Vaccine for its malaria vaccine. The se-sin-malaria vaccine is unlike other malaria vaccines being developed. It is a live vaccine made of a weakened version of the whole malaria parasite. Scientists at se-sin-malaria use non-malaria-carrying mosquitoes to develop their vaccine. They feed the insects blood containing the malaria parasite. They then use radiation to weaken the parasite, which is then harvested for the vaccine. In an earlier study, the scientists at se-sin-malaria used live mosquitoes to deliver the vaccine. 13 of 14 volunteers were completely protected against malaria after receiving the vaccine. They also remained protected for at least 10 months. Se-sin-malaria is now preparing to ask the United States Food and Drug Administration for approval to begin federal testing of the vaccine.
For now, the main effort to control malaria involves treatment of bed nets and indoor living areas with insecticides, products used to kill insects. The World Health Organization says insecticide use has greatly reduced the number of malaria cases. The WHO says insecticide-treated bed nets have been shown to reduce the number of malaria cases by 50% and the infection rate by 90%. The United Nations agency released its World Malaria Report in December. The report said home ownership of insecticide-treated nets had reached 50% in 13 of the 35 African countries with the highest cases of malaria. It also said more than 1/3 of all countries at risk of malaria reported a drop in cases of more than 50%.
Early identification and drug treatment of malaria can reduce the severity of the disease and prevent death. The anti-malarial drug chloroquine was widely used until recent years, when the malaria parasite became resistant to the drug. Now, the World Health Organization advises use of artemisinin-based combination treatments, or ACTs, for malaria patients. The WHO says the international community is now in a position to defeat malaria. It says that with the use of insecticides, better testing, and drug treatments, the world could reach its goal of 0 malaria deaths by 2015. Still, it says there is an immediate need for the international community to continue and increase its investment in the fight against malaria.
This Science in the News was written by June Sims. Our producer was Mario Ritter. I'm Faith Lapidus.
And I'm Bob Doty. Listen again next week for more news about science in special English on the Voice of America.